Once a giant, always a giant. For me, it's only a giant.
What's going on, YouTube? Diggy546. And every time we take a step forward, the division takes another step forward. Now, we saw this happen a couple months ago before the draft and free agency, and I think maybe via trade, where the Commanders went out and got Deebo Samuels. You know, the Eagles are always eagling out. Who even keeps tabs on what the Eagles are doing? They always are doing something ridiculous. But after that, today, the Cowboys went and traded for George Pickens. Now, George Pickens, of course, is a well-known nut job. He's crazy. It just is what it is. Listen, I usually don't say that about people, but he's just got a reputation for being a nut job. And Mike Tomlin, the guy who dealt with Antonio Brown for like 10 years, the guy that dealt with Antonio Brown forever, the guy that pretty much every player is like, oh, I'd love to play for Mike Tomlin. You know, he's one of the best coaches of all time. One of the most well-respected coaches in the league. Was the guy who was standing at the front of the line to get George Pickens as far away from the Steelers facility as possible. So, I mean, I don't know all the details. You know, Pickens likes to fight on the field. You know, he must have been difficult in the locker room. Maybe he kind of felt like he was better than what he is. And I know Pickens needs a lot of work as far as like some of the finer things in the game. He could be a better route runner. But I'm going to tell you one thing, the guy goes up and snatches the ball out of the air. He does that really, really well. And the Cowboys, they're going to have a very, very good wide receiver too, because Pickens is probably coming from the perspective of, you know, him being the best offensive player for the most of the time that he was out there. He's probably coming from like that perspective of like, I'm the best player, so you all, you know, I can do whatever I want. Well, now here in Dallas, he's not the best player even at his position. And I wouldn't say that, you know, he's a guy that has respect over Dak Prescott or a lot of the guys on that team. So I think George Pickens going to Dallas might be a good move for both of them. And even if it's not, it's a one-year deal for Dallas. Like, it's a one-year deal. So if he doesn't pan out, if he acts like a crazy person, Dallas gave up a third-round pick. It's probably not going to be a high third-round pick, probably a mid-round third-round pick. So they didn't really give up much. And they got probably what could be a number one receiver on a ton of football teams. Now, on the Steelers side, you know, even if the Steelers feel like he can be a good number one receiver for them, they obviously don't trust him to pay him big money after this upcoming season. They're not going to pay him. They're not going to give him a long-term extension. So it made so much sense to just go ahead and trade him for that third-round pick, get him out of here, and you get compensation so you can take a wide receiver next year in the third round. And hopefully he's as good as Pickens for them. But it made no sense for them to keep him and, you know, just let him walk. So it made sense, even if they think there's a shot that he could be, you know, a beast of a wide receiver and get even better and be a guy that's worth that contract on the field, they don't trust him off the field. Now, is Dallas gonna pay him long term? I don't know, but listen, they got a year to franchise him. They got a year. They got time. They got stuff that they can do to keep him around if they want to, you know, see how he acts for a little bit longer. But of course, Pickens is going to be a red flag for anybody that's thinking about the Dallas locker room. Is he going to be a guy that divides that locker room? Is he going to be able to deal with being the second wide receiver and not being the focal point of the offense? Because CeeDee Lamb is a much better player than him. So he's going to be wide receiver too. And that is what it is. But my biggest thing is, as I'm 3 minutes in, three almost 4 minutes in, Deonte Banks, man, you got to step up. You got to step up, Deonte Banks, because right now we are seeing Devontae Smith twice a year, George Pickens twice a year. We're seeing Deebo Samuel twice a year, and Terry. They're probably going to switch. You know, Deonte Banks will probably cover both of them because I kind of see them as 1A, 1B. So you're going to be seeing these wide receivers twice a year. So that's 6 games that Deonte Banks is going to be going against wide receiver ones who are posing as wide receiver twos in the NFC East. These teams that we're playing against are stacked. So Deonte Banks last year, of course, was horrible. Like, wasn't even starting level cornerback good. Now, the year before, I really felt good. You know, he was always in the picture. Wasn't the best at playing the ball, but, you know, will break passes up. He would really, you know, do his thing out there. He was always, at the very least, in the picture. And the start last year against the Vikings, He was in the picture against Justin Jefferson. He was there. Like the touchdown pass that Justin Jefferson caught, Deonte Banks' hand was right here. The ball from Sam Darnold like basically brushed his fingers to go and get caught by Justin Jefferson. So he was there. He was playing well to start the season. And then I just started to see him being separated from the ball, being really far away from these guys and just looking bad. So he's got to get some confidence back, and he's got to get it back quick, which I believe that a guy like him can do. He seems like a guy that's nonchalant, that, can bounce back pretty quickly. So we need him to do that in the worst way, because this defense has the potential to be an amazing defense. If we would have kept on the path that we kept on before Dex got hurt, the Giants would have broken the sack record last year. And we added Abdul Carter to that. So if we're adding Abdul Carter to the team, and we're replacing Azeez Ojulari with a guy that we think is a better player in Abdul Carter. We added Golston to that, who was a solid pass rusher, an underrated pass rusher, who you would feel pretty good about a lot of times if he was your third guy. He's our fourth edge now. So even with, I won't even say the word, but I will knock on wood, even with things like that happening, we still have guys that are waiting to come in that are starting level caliber players on that defensive line. So we cannot afford to have lapses in the secondary. That's why I hope that the signing of Adebo is a sign that we are wanting to get physical at the line of scrimmage with these cornerbacks and get physical with these receivers. Hopefully that's the sign, is that we're going back to more of what Wink did with Deonte Banks, because we need him to be a good player. If we can just cover for 2.5 seconds, there's going to be a lot of sacks. Now, if Deonte Banks is getting beat off the line and, you got guys routing him up, which I'm excited Pickens isn't going to be doing. He's not going to be doing that. That's not his game. He's not a guy that's going to beat you quickly off of the route and, unless it's deep. But for the most part, he's not a guy that's going to win that quickly. He's not a quick game kind of guy. Of course, he can run the slant, but we'll see. If Deonte Banks is getting beat off the line, that's gonna ruin everything, because the Giants' defensive line is going to get home. It's going to get home. Dexter Lawrence in the middle, Alexander beside him now on third down probably. Golston maybe sometimes beside him. Roy Robertson Harris, another good depth guy now. You got Burns off one edge. You got Carter on the other edge, or you got Carter lined up over the A-gap beside Dex, and you got Thibodeau across from Burns. Way too much talent there. But one thing I'll tell you is that if you have a guy that's not good on defense, and he is not a good player, he's not solid, he's literally not a good player, the offense will attack him again and again and again and again. And we've seen that in the past. We got guys like Trevin Wade out there, guys like Jaron Hosley out there, where teams would target them over and over and over and over again. And they will do that with, again, their wide receiver ones masquerading as wide receiver twos. They will go after Deonte Banks over and over and over again. And if he's not stepping up, he could be a reason that the season gets ruined. And this could be the season that Deonte Banks gets benched and we don't see him out there again. Sadly, that could be that. This could be that kind of season, because if we can't get solid cornerback play for him, they're going to go get a veteran and they're going to line him up out there, and he's going to get beat sometimes, but he's going to be a solid football player. And I think Deonte Banks can be much more. Again, this is a guy that has all the same measurables: vertical, height, weight, speed, everything. All the same measurables as Malik Neighbors. Very athletic corner. Has the potential to be a cornerback one, a lockdown corner. He's got to do it. He doesn't have to reach his full potential, but he's got to get up there. If he's not ready to play, it's going to be a problem for us, because this division is not playing around. Every time, again, the Giants improve their defense, they all go out and get more players to be more explosive on offense. And you can't depend yet. We have not seen our offense go out there and get as explosive. We do not have the horses that these other teams have. Russ is great, sure, he's good. Malik Neighbors, monster. But he's only one guy. He doesn't have a Malik Neighbors light next to him. He's got Darius Slayton, who I think can be a 1,000-yard receiver in the right situation. But he's not the player that Pickens is. He's not the player that Smith is. He's not the player that Debo is. So we don't have the firepower, but we do have the equalizer, which is the pass rush, which is the front line. We just really need Deonte Banks to step up into the plate, be that guy that we know he can be. And I think the Giants will be just fine. So you all let me know what you're thinking of George Pickens to the Cowboys. I think it's a good move for them. Very low risk move for what they're going to get back, even if he doesn't sign. If he gives them a really good year and they go to the playoffs, they make a run, he's well worth it for them. And they can always swap him out with the, a contested catch receiver in the draft next year. Man, I hate to say it. Like I said, good move from Dallas. You all let me know what you're thinking about Pickens to the Cowboys and if Deonte Banks can step up this year.